to Soulful Conversations with Ash Grunwald, and this is part 2 of my interview with the amazing John Butler, and this was a hell of a lot of fun, and I found John to be a beautiful human being. He really is very honest and very generous and funny, and he's just got a whole lot of really good insights, and I know you're going to absolutely love this episode. So thanks for tuning in and being on this journey with us on Soulful Conversations, and please do share this on socials and rate and review it, and I would be eternally grateful if you could tell your friends and also do this little trick that I saw on the Jim Quick podcast, which is basically just take a screenshot that you're listening to the podcast and share it on socials with any good quotes that you found in here, and there are a lot of pearls of wisdom in here, I can tell you that for sure. So as they say, without further ado, John Butler. Welcome to Soulful Conversations with Ash Grunwald. In this podcast, we interview inspiring and amazing people, musicians, surfers, and experts in mindset, creativity, health, well-being, and making the world a better place. I'm tired of beating around the bush. I want to go deep and have a soulful conversation.
This podcast is brought to you by Earth Bottles. At Earth Bottles, we are on a mission to end single-use plastics, offering a full range of beautiful double-insulated bottles, reusable coffee cups, food and tea canisters, stainless steel straws, bags, and lots of plastic-free eco-goodies. Earth Bottles proudly supports the Breast Cancer Network of Australia, Beyond Blue, Hope for Health, Clean Coast Collective, 15 Trees, Bali Baby House, and the UN Refugee Agency. So head over to www.earthbottles.com.au for a 10% discount using the promo code ASHLOVESME. Together, we can make a change and break up with single-use plastics.
There are tools, I use a wrench to undo bolts and stuff, and they're great. And I think, my phone is the same kind of thing. It can be very, very helpful device. It's just like all things, you have to moderate them. I think there's some substances on the planet that are amazing for the human mind, and if you abuse them, then they could do exactly the opposite in which they're, what they're intended for, in my belief. But totally mental hygiene, baby. Mental hygiene. I think I think it's not a coincidence that we are seeing a massive epidemic of anxiety and depression and other mental diseases and whatever you want to dis-ease. Because that's the next frontier, and the society is kind of almost forcing us into the corner to kind of deal with it because of the neck break pace of it all and the complexities of the world that we live in at the moment.
But that is the frontier, to get a handle on that instruction manual and realize how to get some relief from the dis-ease, and everybody starting to work on that more and more. And using the device to spread knowledge about it. I mean, who knows what we're capable of? Yeah. It could be, it's probably not the first time. We know it's not the first time it's happened in history, because in indigenous cultures or what's come through India, there are some of the answers in the past. But imagine if we all start to evolve that way now. I mean, it's really cool to think about what might be possible on the optimistic side of things.
Totally. And, sometimes it's not, you can be optimistic about it, and at the same time, it may not be an easy journey. It might be a little hard for a little bit of relief comes, I feel like, we might be going into learning more about ourselves, and that might be a little bit painful, learning about our anxieties and our depressions, or to be honest about it and to be vulnerable about it and to speak out about it then relieves the pressure for other people. Then all of a sudden we're all talking about it in a way that we don't feel shame and discomfort. Then we can really get to the bottom of it and live with this duality of being a human, because it is a duality. We love things black and white. I love things black and white. Good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I know who I'm going for.
Yeah.
Easy. But, good people could do bad things and bad people do good things.
Yeah.
And life, it's a tricky thing to become at peace with. But if we, I think we come from an age of be tough, be stoic, don't show your pain, and, you're going to be the winner. And I think we're slowly seeing that that's eroding our society, especially for males who live in silence and then all of a sudden pop themselves. And you're like, what happened to Bruce? Oh, shit. I thought he was fine. Now he's dead. The biggest killer of men between 14 and 45 is not hang gliding. It's not cars. It's not war. It's suicide. So the more vulnerable we can be about our mental hygiene and the journeys that we're on, which are mental but also spiritual and emotional, maybe there's a real power in that. There's a real courageousness in that. There's a real bravery in that. All the things that we think holding it in and being tough for and being courageous, that's not being courageous. That's fucking scared. That's a scared, rigid thing. But to be open and flexible and honest and vulnerable, maybe that's the most badass thing that we could be doing right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is really good. Can I ask on the other side of it, this is spirituality and focus, but this is the really, rather than remedial from everything you said before now in this conversation has been fantastic.
You can just turn left instantly. I'm with you, bro.
I'm about to get. This is one of my fascinations. Everything you've said has been absolutely spot on, and I love it. But now I want to switch into. I don't know if I was dreaming last night. I was listening to your podcast again, thinking about this discussion. I thought I'd listen to it all through. But then you said, I don't know if I dreamt this or not, but you said you believe that you do have the power to manifest your dreams and your goals and things like that. Did you say something like that? Or did I make that up?
I have said things like that. I'm not sure if I said it in the podcast. You may have dreamt that. But I like that you've dreamt that.
Well, do you have something to...
I think we're talking about faith, maybe, and I talked about the fact that what you put your mind to becomes reality. I think. And I do believe in the power of prayer. Yeah. As a person who's a non-orthodox religious person, I don't have any one religion that I follow, but I find myself to be somebody who thinks about divinity and spirituality a lot, or I'm influenced by it, whether I like it or not. Maybe it's a better way to put it. Yeah, I do feel like you can manifest. I think that's part of that kind of technology I was talking about with the mind. Like, we talk about, just the infinite technology that we have that we don't even understand. We're multidimensional beings. I do believe that you can manifest.
In a literal sense.
In a literal sense.
Right. So I want to, I'm looking at Rod Laver right now. So I'm looking at a sign. You can just decide, if I could line it up properly and I could really, really get to a really high level of manifesting like an yogi motherfucker and really manifest playing Rod Laver. Yeah. I could, or somebody could.
I think if that's what you really wanted.
Yeah.
And I think it might not just be just praying.
Yeah.
And just
you've got to do, right?
Yeah, there's going to be a whole myriad of things. And you might be at Rod Laver Arena one day with the whole thing packed out, and you might be part of a cooking program. You be careful. Like, you got to really, sometimes shit happens in ways that you thought was going to happen, then it totally doesn't.
So I'll be there, admit.
Who knows?
Click, click.
Or you may be playing a gig. I think if you want it enough, it can happen. And but I think there's a couple different things that go with it, and that's the magic of it and the wisdom of it that I don't understand. But why?
You've got to know your why.
Well, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, why? Why do you want to fill that place up? I'm not saying you. I'm saying the you is in us. I look at that place and go, yeah, I feel the same way. But a lot of it's my ego.
Yeah.
And I think if you try to manifest things for your ego, that you could be in tricky territory.
So that's like a bit of a Wayne Dyer. I remember Wayne Dyer saying something about that because I've been reading a bit of him. Have you ever got into him before?
Wayne Dwyer?
Wayne Dyer.
No.
He had a lot of books with white covers, and he was they look pretty self-helpy, but he said a lot of good things. He got really into the manifestation kind of thing, but he was sort of saying you can manifest all these things, but it's kind of got to be in line with a higher purpose.
I think it does. Like, you're talking about manifestation and praying, and it's a very reverent and sacred and ritual, and so therefore, I think it does have to have some depth to it. And I didn't want to do what I'm doing now. I mean, when I first started out as a kid, I wanted to be in the special forces. I wanted to be in the army. I wanted to stop the bad guys.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to be a force of good. Then I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. Then I wanted to be an art teacher, because all I really wanted to do is be creative and be able to pay the rent. And I stumbled into music. And through music, I've been able to kind of do all the things I've wanted to do, which is have all the performance, the creative aggression of skateboarding, all the creativity of art, and be able to use my energy for good over evil, which was the kind of the army thing. And I would have never thought I would have been here. Like, that's not. So I think what I'm trying to say is sometimes be careful what you pray for. Careful, it might take you on a path that you don't totally understand. I'm happy where I am, but manifestation, yeah, I think it's a alchemic journey that I don't understand, but I do know that we can do stuff with it. I mean, there's that classic trial that they did where they had a massive meditation convention in Washington D.C., which had the highest murder per capita rate in the country, and they over this weekend said, let's see if we can bring down the murder rate by 25%. They put this number on it, and they brought it down by 25% for those 2 days. They somehow correlated the information.
Yeah, I've heard of this one. Yeah,
and I do believe that. Yeah, we can manifest things through our mind. We manifest things through our mind all the time. When we really want to put our energy towards something, we can do crazy, awesome things. That, especially when we do it as a group. So,
yeah,
whether that's getting to the moon or, bombing a country. They all take a lot of energy. All the time. Like, what do you want to use your energy towards?
Yeah, and what are you focused on, and what's everything leading towards?
Yeah.
Well, we have a sample group of one here, you, and you're incredibly successful, and there's a lot that goes into that, and a lot of talent and a lot of hard work. So, but reverse engineering that now, thinking about manifestation, did you ever have points, like you said, when you first started out, you were playing and it was just going well and blah, 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 but then did you go into it with that mindset that you can manifest what you want, and did you go for it, like really go for it at a point and try and actively manifest?
Well, I started realizing that the manifestations were happening, first of all, and I think they can kind of build upon each other and create momentum. And so my biggest dream from the time I was about 16 was like, shit, when you're in high school and they're going, hey, you got to do something for the rest of your life that's part of like you need to pay the rent, and and you need money in this society and all this shit that they tell you in fucking high school. And like, I started thinking, shit, I just want to be creative and be able to pay the rent, and one day have some kids and a partner, and maybe be creative and fruitful. I'll be an art teacher. I can't guarantee that I'm going to be a successful visual artist, because that's a hard game. But my art teachers had a really big impact on me. They're my favorite part of school. They had a big influence on the youth, and you can be creative and you get holidays. Cool, that's great. Yeah. So I was going to uni, and I discovered busking and open tuning, and started busking. And I made, in the first hour, $32 in an hour. The highest paying job before that was $9 an hour through fruit picking and dwelling up. Before that, it was $5 an hour doing stained glass in San Diego. I'm like, $32 an hour, I'm being creative, and I can pay the rent. And I mixed that with some other things for a while. For a year, I got on unemployment, which I saw as an art grant, and I started manifesting to a certain degree. I started being able to be creative and pay the rent. And then I worked hard. But there was this point in time around right before my first album where I caught myself looking at my photo shoots and the gigs, and it was all me. And meanwhile, all my friends, a lot of my peers were on blockades in the Southwest, protecting ancient forests from being wood chipped and sold for less than $1 a ton to make paper, of all things. And I thought, God, man, my world seems so vacuous and narcissistic compared to what I see these young men and women doing, putting their lives and limbs on the line for our country, like country. So maybe that tapped into my old special forces place of like, whoa, these people are really they're really serving their country and serving their communities and their environments. What am I doing? I'm looking at my photo shoots and like thinking about my career and how many people if I can sell out mojos, seeming a little bit, and so I did make a deal. Instead of making a deal with the devil, that old blues thing, I did make a deal, like a really conscious, really maybe naive, very obvious deal with the earth. I was like, cool, if I'm going to do this, if it's going to be so self-indulgent, it needs to be part of bringing positivity and change to this planet. Yeah. I, as a butler, will be a servant for good through what I do. If I'm allowed to live this very creative life, let it be of service. And the minute that happened, it galloped.
Yeah, wow, and that's so good.
But yeah, it's taken a lot of work. It's taken a lot of self-reflection. It's come ups and downs. Have I achieved all the things I wanted to? Not necessarily,
Yeah, wow.
I mean, you pointed at Rod Laver Arena.
That was so funny. I'm looking at it now.
Shit, yeah, there's parts of my what would you call it, dreaming that would go, yeah, let's do that. I always go, the sky's the limit. Let's see how far you can take it.
Yeah.
But then I go, why? And, is it because I want to fill a bottomless pit of like, self-hate and, like it's never enough? Or is it because I want to do good? So, I'd want to feel it to do good. If I haven't achieved it, does that mean I failed? No. Maybe not achieving Rod Laver Arena is a bigger life lesson of understanding that not succeeding at all your dreams doesn't mean failure. And maybe sitting it with peace with that's actually bigger. That's a bigger nugget of gold than selling it out. Maybe. Yeah, wow. Because I do have a lot of self-hatred and I do have a lot of like negative thinking. I do have a lot of, combative, beat up ego that's trying to protect me from a world because of my past and all those things. And so maybe healing all that stuff through the journey is more important than achieving all my dreams. Maybe that's what I'm saying. It's like, you really want to be a servant for change. Well, maybe you're gonna have to change yourself, and that. Be careful what you wish for. You thought it was going to be all on the outside. Well, really, it's all on the inside, buddy. So strap in.
It'd be nice. It'd be a Hollywood-like tale if life made you solve that stuff, and then it's like, okay, now you can have the cherry on top. Now that you sorted it out, but not until.
Yeah, I think life works in a different way. I really rambled on you there, bro.
No, that was good. I just wanted to ask you one thing because, like, you are so successful, and to like all of us in the roots scene in Australia, we are looking up to you in terms of success. But I'm aware that humans are just so weird, and I would never underestimate our ability to fuck it up for ourselves. So have you ever felt like, with all this success, have you just ever felt that really stupid thing? I'm sure you'd slap yourself in the face if you did, but like being like felt unsuccessful, or because you're so used to achieving more and more, like got too focused on the more and felt like, am I going anywhere with this? That was a really long-winded...
No, because I'm trying to break it apart. I when you say us in the root scene look to you as a kind of some kind of threshold of success, I'm still trying to go. I'm trying to go. Why? We all have our different ideas of success. My true idea of success is pay the rent, feed yourself and the people you love through doing what you love. And you can do that in combination with your partner, and if they're doing the same thing, all the better. So I was able to do that years ago. And yes, I have felt many times that I haven't reached my idea of success. Yeah. And in fact, it's been a lot of that throughout the years, where it's been the driving factor to keep me going, because the mountains I look to climb are fucking big. Yeah. I don't, naively, right or wrong, I look to the Beyoncés as a benchmark. I look to, the Dylans as a benchmark. I look to the Bruce Springsteens. I look at those people and go, cool, that's how high the mountain is. Well,
the boots on.
better fucking put my boots on and strap in.
Yeah.
I'm my ego so out of proportion that it thinks that I can even play ball with those people. I don't know. When I think about playing ball with those people, it scares the shit out of myself. I just want to run away and hide. I don't know. But definitely I fight with the ego, which is like, when is it ever enough for you? When is it ever enough for you? And then when I answer that and go, well, what is this hole I'm feeling? I look at the hole and I'm like, I start crying. Because the hole's really sad. Because it's trying to fill a space of belonging and acceptance and love. And, I think that's been the journey. That's been the journey. As I've been climbing this mountain, trying to kind of do good and fight my ego, the journey has been to look at the ego and go, well, why are you doing this? And why do you feel so empty at times, and what is it? And that there are really big questions, and they come from a lot of old stuff from the past, and that's actually been the journey of it all. At the end of the day, it's like you aim from the mountain and you go within, and the mountain's actually inside. So yeah, I would say there's been many moments where it's not been enough.
That's interesting.
It's not been enough, and that feels fucking pretty selfish at times to think that. To go, wow, how is this not enough for you? If this is not enough for you, then there's something more going on. So what's that something more? And that's all that baggage.
I'm glad I asked that question because, it's really interesting that, and it's a real relief to know that Dylan, Springsteen, all these guys, it's just that they got a big hole, and I don't have to worry.
Well, who knows? Maybe their journey and their manifestation, like that was, filling those arenas. That was the way they dealt with their demons. The way I've had to deal with mine, or another way. I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm just like, actually, the cup overflows so much. For me to really enjoy it is to be happy within myself. Yeah. And maybe if I'm happy within myself, maybe or maybe not, something more may happen. But don't do it for that reason.
Yeah.
But you could achieve all those things. You could play Rod Laver Arena, but if you still have this negative bias and this hole to fill, you'll be on stage and it still won't be enough.
Yeah.
And if that's not enough, then nothing's ever enough.
Yeah.
And if now is not enough for you right now, not being at Rod Laver right now, if right now is not enough for you, John, then fucking the work is not on stage. The work is not actually in the studio. The work is in my heart and in my mind and in my spirit. That's where the fucking work is. And if my music guides me to that work, fucking, that's the journey for me. Music has always been the teacher in ways that I'll never understand, If I can't be satisfied by this, it's surely not the fucking music. It's not the career. It's my outlook.
Yeah.
And that's all our journey, isn't it? Whether we're successful or not, whether whatever industry we're in or not, what's our outlook towards ourself, towards our past, towards our future? We're all that's where we're all in the same boat,
Totally.
I mean, I look at your life, and I go, most people in the world would dream of a lifestyle like that. Your partner is like this extremely creative, self-driven person who has this great company, Earth Bottles, and, is doing great stuff. You're able to write books, surf, play music, do podcasts. You live in Bali sometimes, you live in Byron sometimes you live in Turkey. You're like beautiful, healthy man. I haven't met your wife.
Thanks, brother.
But you have children. It's like life is fucking, the cup overfloweth, It's like, and it's a beautiful thing. That's that compared to me or to Beyonce, we're all like, there's no. The only difference would be how much we're really enjoying it, how much we really can taste it and savor and know. No matter on what economic scales we're on, like if we don't feel it and go, fuck yeah, I wake up every morning and I didn't die. Fuck yeah. Or instead of waking up every morning going, fuck, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Well,
you're just not like Sadhguru would say another one. He would say, he's like, you're not, if you're feeling bad after all that, you're like, I'm not running the gadget right.
Yeah.
It's running wrong.
Yeah. It's running you wrong. Yeah. You're not running it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just amazing. And I mean, obviously everything that you've said about that applies to your own playing too, because that's what I heard last night. Man, your guitar playing's improved too, more. I mean, you've always been an amazing guitarist, but there was something on your podcast where you did this shred thing, you said yarn went inside and you kept practicing.
Yeah.
So
on faith, yeah.
You just keep on, just as you talk about the career stuff and that, you know, playing a different venue, that's to do with a whole lot of other things. And your songwriting, it's got a whole lot of components, but there's also that level of just musicianship. Is that something that there's mountains in that world for you as well? Like, are you trying to improve?
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, I think through listening to Hendrix years ago and still to this day, I hear somebody who is a conduit for spirit and divinity. I hear somebody who's just like, whatever you want to call it, God, you call it the universe, you call it Buddha, you call it Om, whatever the fuck is flowing through that man is like fairly pure and it's powerful. He had a really unfettered interface between the divinity and the physical world of sound. And so, I look to that and I'm like, fuck, well, there's a long way to go. I want to flow. I want to be free. I want to fly. And technique it's all part of it. You know, like I spent, a couple of weeks in India working with Debashish Bhattacharya, an amazing Hindustani slide guitarist. And he taught me all these finger picking techniques, which are extremely rigorous and very technical. And but he said, through discipline comes freedom. And so, to a certain degree, I love practicing and I wanted to get better at my craft only to be completely unbridled wild beast in nature. You know, I just want to I just want to flow. And so that's always going to be, my abilities as the conduit. It's like you got an infinite amount of electricity out there in the universe, and with this little circuitry board, and sometimes you can put so much into it that you fry your little circuitry and there's no output. I just want to make sure that I'm evolving my circuitry so my bandwidth for the universe, more bandwidth of the universe comes through, and how do I upgrade my circuitry to kind of like take in more of the universe so I can flow it out. And through that, people don't hear me as much. They hear, like when I listen to Hendrix, I hear divinity.
Wow.
I don't hear him. I respect him for being such a clean conduit, and I just want to be that. I serve the music more than it's here to serve me or my career even,
That is just, I love that. I can't wait to hear that on the podcast, man. I totally agree with that. And I'm so glad you picked Hendrix because that's so true.
Yeah.
That is exactly, because writing this book that, I'm just finishing this book that's Surf by Day, Jam by Night. I wanted to get you into it too. And I was like, come on, he skates and everything.
Yeah.
But it's all the same stuff. I was talking to a lot of pro surfers and some musicians as well, but it was more the surfers, but I was always linking it back to music. And it is exactly what you've said. What's the time?
It's 1:45. I just have to be ahead by 2, so I'm just checking things. That's right.
Yeah, let's just finish up here. It's exactly what you... but anyway, it's exactly what you said. I was talking to pro surfers and for the book, and I was trying to basically draw the parallels with music, and it is... And I basically came down to this thing of the people who are a pure expression of style and grace and who are just channeling and just in flow state, they have to learn a whole lot of skills.
Yeah.
So that they can not think at all and just channel.
I have a friend who played with Jordan during his golden years. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name. Luke Longley. He's an Australian.
Oh yeah.
And he played with Jordan all throughout those big games. And he said, Jordan would just stay behind for another 3 hours after training. Wow. Everybody would go home, and he'd just keep on doing 3-pointers, and just he trained so hard. And then you watch Jordan in those games and you see through discipline comes freedom. I mean, that guy is flowing. Like some of those games, especially that first Lakers game, that when Bulls first won, he was throwing 3-pointers over his head without looking. And he was shaking his head going, he was so in the zone. In the zone, the zone is not a technical space. The zone is like a spiritual place.
Yeah.
But it comes from discipline of I'm going to fucking work on my craft. Hours and, that 10,000 hours thing, or, the greatest surfers, I'm sure they're absolutely one with nature in that board, but they've just been in the water so much that's the discipline. They're in the water all the time.
Yeah, more than everyone
else. Their muscles are fit. They've been they're carrying rocks under the ocean. Like they're not just sitting there going, "I want to be an awesome fucking surfer." They're in it.
Yeah.
It is the meditation. It's like yoga, a way of living, a way of being.
Yeah.
It is in the breathing of every day. It's like,
Is that what did you say with yoga?
Yoga, I think the definition of yoga is a way of living, isn't it?
Right.
I
didn't know the definition,
I don't know
I
if
love
that's
yoga.
the case, but it's like a way. It's like a way. It's not like a practice of stretching. Yoga in surfing, yoga in breathing, yoga in eating, yoga in being, yoga in surfing, yoga in playing guitar. A way. What is your way?
It's living it. It's really just you have to live your passions if you want to. Yeah.
Immersion. Yeah.
And put in. Well, brother, this has been an amazing discussion. I knew it was going to be great, but it'd be better than I even thought.
We just keep on going.
But, thank you so much.
No worries.
It was just so good. Yeah, and I really do appreciate you being on this first podcast episode. It's really important to me.
Oh, this is the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm stoked to be a part of it. And, man, just big props. Just like knowing your story, seeing it from afar, what you're doing, carving your own unique path in this world is so inspirational for all of us, because so many people out there are wondering, how do I live my dream? What is the dream? Let me look on Instagram to find, how do I live my dream? What are the steps? And you always have to kind of customize it, and you've customized and your own way of being. And it's not standard, because no way is standard. It's everybody else's is going to be different. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, respect.
Thank you so much, brother.
Respect to your journey, and we're all watching, going, I want to bring a bit of that into what I'm doing. So.
Thank you so much, brother. Thanks.
I mean that.
It don't belong to you.
Wow. On a personal level, that was a really amazing interview for me. John gave words to a lot of the things that I've been thinking and that I've been learning over the last 12 months. And it was just really impressive, his generosity of spirit, and some of the stuff that he said about the importance of your outlook. And I love that quote that he got from his teacher in India: through discipline comes freedom. There's just a whole lot of good stuff in there. So thank you very much, as I said, for being part of this journey. And check out John's podcast over at his website about his new album, Home. And if you want to jump over to Earth Bottles and get any of that good stuff, I've got the promo code AshLovesMe for a 10% discount for you guys. But otherwise, I will see you next time on Soulful Conversations.